So that's what you're here for. If you came to a different room, if you did not expect to jump onto a call today and talk about a powerful success hack that you can take in order to accomplish in this new year, then just jump off now. You're in the wrong place. But we'll talk to you later about something else. And if that's what you're here for, great. I am Jeff Kuhn. I am a business coach. I am a public speaker and trainer. That's how I make the majority of my money, running around and talking in front of groups, teaching workshops, and having coaching clients. A couple of years ago, I became the owner of a brand here in Maryland called Cyberbacker Maryland. We are what's up, Evan? Nice to see you. We virtual services company here inside of Maryland that services DC, Delaware. We've got a couple of people working for us that are nowhere near Maryland or Delaware. So Shar, why don't you start introducing yourself?
Yes, thank you, Jeff. Hey, everyone. It's 2024. I'm Shara. I'm working closely with Jeff. I'm the growth backer assigned here in Cyberbacker, Maryland. So basically, what I do is to help our clients know and figure out what's the best support that they could have for their business. So I'm helping them to create a job description so they could understand what will be the role of their cyberbacker. And of course, I also help them to know and understand the beauty of having a support in their business. So that's it. Thank you.
Great. Awesome. Thank you. Irene.
Hi everyone. Happy New Year. So my name is Irene. I'm part of the career team here in Cyberbacker. So I'm the career backer in Maryland, Washington D.C. So I'm helping to find right talents and partner them with the clients who say, who share the same values. So that's it for me.
Thank you. Thank you both. And for those that are already clients, you already know that Irene and Shara are the backbone to this team. I laugh a little bit, but only because I'm uncomfortable, because they literally do the majority of my job for me. So thank you both very much. I get to be here and just have fun talking to business owners locally, shaking some hands, and attending a lot of networking events, and eating some good food. And meanwhile, they just get a look at the pictures later. So thank you both very much. Anyway, so moving forward, as we look into it, last month we had a crafting your bold vision for your future success. That's really writing out and designing your vision for the beyond. If you missed it, please reach out to Shara. You can throw your name or please send me a link inside of our chat, and Shara can forward you the link and get some information to you that would help you go through that on your own. What we're doing today is really, we want to identify your life hack and we want to get it onto your calendar. Pretty simple. We've only got an hour. And so I like to make sure that our objectives are achievable inside of that hour space. And first, again, I like a little bit of energy, a little bit of motivation. So first, we're going to start with a little mini scavenger hunt. Word of warning, I do this every single time that we have a January mastermind webinar. And it's because it's the new year and it's time to set some goals and get some interest moving. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set a little timer for 60 seconds. This is very simple. I just want you to jump up and grab something that represents a goal that you have for this new year. All right? On your mark, get set, go. 60 seconds. Can you see me? No, I got it. I got it already. 60 seconds. I'm going to randomly call on some people. I knew this was coming, so I actually had it sitting right next to me. Me running off stage was just for your fit. I hope you all appreciate that. I see some eye rolls. Thanks. It helps me feel like my wife is present, because that's standardly what she does for every one of my bad jokes. All right. 10 seconds left. Anybody coming back? Okay. Perfect. All right, I'll go first while we're going. Okay, so if you've been following us for a little while, you've attended some of our webinars, you've seen some videos, you may be invited to the group. It's a new group that I started, and I really want to get moving. When I started posting a lot on social media a couple of years ago, I did it with a lot of coaching content, and not everybody, I'll be honest with you, this particular webinar got me moving on that particular direction a few years ago. We'll find out a little bit more as we go. And I would say, very simply, my videos were bad. They were just horrible. So now that some of my presentation skills have gotten a little bit better, I really want to get back to posting some coaching content online. This is a representative canvas that I've got for that. I've got a group starting inside of Facebook called Be More Every Day, where I'm going to start just posting some more motivational stuff, local stuff, inspirational, but also some things that with coaching clients on a regular basis. That's a big goal for myself for this new year, to just kind of return to a passion of mine as far as giving back to the business community. Now, what about you? If you would like to share, I'm going to give a few people that want to share real quick the opportunity to share first. So throw your hands up and we'll call on. In the meantime, while we're waiting for those hands to come up, Shara, what did you find?
Okay, so as you know, of course, you know me so well. I'm also a musician, so it's the nearest. It meets my ukulele. But actually, I play more on a acoustic guitar. So for this year, because last year I wasn't able to hit my goal as a musician. So for this year, I'm planning to really do more when it comes to my music. To really write, record, and even collaborate with the other artists that I know. So I'll be able to release more of my music. So yeah, that's actually one of my goals this year, to really have fun and do my passion. Aside from working here at Cyberbacker, I really want to make more music to entertain people and to inspire a lot of people around me. So that's it. Thanks, Jeff.
And I love that. And if you all don't follow her on Instagram, you can go listen to her sing right now. Well, not right now. Wait like 45 more minutes and then go listen to her sing. She's great. Evan, go ahead.
I want to fill all of these up. These are camera cards.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah.
I want them all to be full with photos and video.
With created content. Okay. And now as a business coach, my first inkling is to say, does it matter what size memory card goes in there? Because if you're putting in an 8 gig, I feel like you'd fill it up pretty quick. What size memory card are you filling into each spot?
Well, I guess it depends on the job. I guess that's a good question. You
Yeah.
found the loophole.
Honestly, for our line of work, 8 gig doesn't really cut it. So we usually use 64 or 128 just to be safe.
All
If
right.
I'm using my drone, I'll even put like a 512 gigabyte
Wow.
SD in there.
A little bit bigger than I've ever even bought. I might need to get one of those. Perfect. Love it.
They
Thanks
have
for
some that are
sharing
like a
first.
terabyte.
Thanks for sharing. Who else? Who'd like to share one? Let's get one or two more. Ashley, go ahead.
I would like to close 4 million consecutively for 6 months in my career path. I help people buy and refinance homes working for M&T.
Yeah,
That's a
love
goal.
it. Great. And good to see you here again. Thank you. Thanks for going.
My pleasure.
One more. Who else? And I'm going to give everybody a little bit hint. If nobody else raises their hand, we're going to listen to Irene. So who else? Who else? All right. Irene, go ahead.
Okay, so I have something here. I don't know in the US if you're familiar with this, guys, but I have like a you cannot see it. Um,
An accordion folder.
organizer folder, right? So for this year, I really one of my goals is to be more organized in every task that I'll be having. There.
Oh.
Thank you.
I love that. That's a practical, especially for what you do for me. Thank you. So that's awesome. Appreciate it. So we should be back to sharing. Thank you all for sharing. And I want you to keep your thoughts. This is part of the presentation per se. So keep your thought on that because it will continue as we continue to go. So everybody should be seeing the screen. What do we see up on the screen right now?
Influencers, authors.
Okay, perfect.
First.
Perfect. We've got some more here. I noticed something a little less than diverse when I was putting this back together again this past week, and that's okay. It's carried through a little better later in the presentation. But that being said, I was a couple of years ago when I first discovered this life hack, so to speak, this success hack. I had been challenging myself for several years in a row to read a business or self-development book every single week of the year. Now, just to be perfectly blunt, I cheated a little bit in the sense that if I was falling behind on a reading, I'd throw on an Audible while doing some chores, right? So I counted some Audibles there, and that's okay because it was still personal development and moving me along. And I think if any else of you, and raise your hand, give me a little emoji or whatever, or throw it into the chat. If any other else of you have ever spent a bunch of time in personal development or leadership or business development type books, you've probably noticed it too, that at some point, certain aspects start to feel a little repetitive, right? that every now and then you start to hear the same thing from several people. And so I had actually read several books by these authors, and that's the reason I put them up there, is because as I went back and looked at my books, John C. Maxwell was probably the first leadership author I ever read. And I've read probably no less than 24 of his books at this point. And so having a chance to listen to him on podcasts and some of the things that he did just really influenced my career. So the reason I put these four up there was specifically because I'd read more of their books over the past few years than many of the others. So if you've heard of any of these, again, just throw yes into the chat or put in the name of the author that you see here that you're super familiar with, and maybe something about them that you know and is that they great. Ashley's throwing in her thumbs up. Who else knows some people? Stephen Covey, right? And so what does Stephen Covey really teach on? Stephen Covey was the first. He's urgent versus important. Love that. I almost threw that slide in here today. We're going to hit on that just a little bit farther down, but I need to keep my slides to limited. Otherwise, I get carried on. There we go. 4 quadrants. Perfect. Anyone else? Anyone else recognize any of these? No? Okay. So pay attention, though. We're going to jump through because there was a to carry through these authors and some others that you'll see a little bit later on in the slides. And it's all going to carry us through to a little video that, people like to call me sentimental, that made me cry at some point when I stumbled across it. And so stay to the end because we're going to show you that video and just something that I think will be a little bit inspirational for you. So as we jump through then and keep going, one thing that I want you to learn from some of these authors as we go, who could read this John Maxwell quote for me? We're going to have 3 more quotes instantly. So be ready to raise your hand if you don't get the first one. I know there's going to be a lot of you looking to jump on and share. Go ahead, Evan.
You will never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine.
There we go. Now, as I mentioned, started to see carrying ideas through with a lot of these authors. Guess what John Maxwell did daily? He decided that in order for him to accomplish his goal with sharing the ideas that he learned inside of leadership, that he needed to write a page for a book every day. Now, what made his method really interesting is it didn't matter if it was for the book he was working on or not. It's just whatever idea was spinning around in his head, he wanted to write a whole page out. And his system was he'd take that page, sometimes it would be more than a page because he got on a roll, and he'd put it into a file cabinet to go along with that idea just based on topic. And eventually he'd be like, oh, I need to make a book on communication. And he'd go in and pull out all the pages that he'd written on communication and just hand them to his publisher and say, here you go, right? And then boom, John Maxwell had a book. So his daily was write a page every day. Okay, somebody read this quote for me. Go ahead, Bailey.
Make sure every day you do what matters most. When you know what matters most, everything makes sense. When you don't know what matters most, anything makes sense. Jerry Keller.
That's right. There you go. There's only about 3 or 4 quotes from Gary Keller that I give, and I've read every book that he's been a part of. And this is one of the ones that I love to share because when you know what matters, things like they become clearer. And when you're not clear on what matters, like it doesn't seem like anything's clear at all, which is pretty interesting. He wrote a book called The One Thing, which really just, again, really talks about focusing in on what matters most. So love that. All right, who's next? I'm rubbing my hands, looking for that victim. Ashley, you jump on. Oh, okay, go ahead. S. Heaton.
Publish every day.
Publish every day. You went back on mute, I think. All right. You're in and out, so you're muted again.
I can jump in.
Go for it.
Publish every day for 365 days. After a year, your income will not be the same. Russell Bernstein.
There we go. So he's most well known for 3 books on the ClickFunnels system. So .com, Secrets, and a few others. I don't know if you all have heard of them, but if anybody's ever done internet marketing, then you may or may not have heard of Russell Brunson. He's really good to follow on social media. I fell in love with him when he came out with these little 5-minute podcasts every morning. It was just like on his drive to work, he recorded a podcast, and then he'd put it up, and they were just good nuggets like that he was just thinking through on his drive, which was kind of definitely check him out. But one of the other pieces, real quick before we move on from him, was he was really big on your voice. I recorded a really, really bad version of me singing yesterday. So if you heard me singing on social media yesterday, I apologize. But this is what I was thinking of when I heard of it. It was like The Little Mermaid. I watched the live action Little Mermaid over the weekend. It just made me realize, like, when she lost her voice, what happened? Throw it in the chat. What happened? Or come off mute and sing. When the Little Mermaid lost her voice, what happened? They made it really hard for her to do what?
She was not able to communicate what she needed.
Yeah, she wasn't able to connect, and like literally the goal she was after the whole movie was really tough to attain. She lost her voice, right? And so he's really big on finding your voice through publishing every single day. Love that. We also have in the chat, Jerry Seinfeld provides a great example of consistency. I agree. I love the Write One Joke Daily. I love what he goes through in that one documentary in terms of just building his career. I think any business owner could learn a lot from just that message of consistency and practice that he expresses there. Love it. All right. Oops, because I clicked on the chat, I lost that. Here we go. One more. Who can read this for us? I see your hand still up. If you want to try again, feel free.
What one thing could you do in your personal and professional life that, if you did on a regular basis, would make a tremendous positive difference in your life? Quadrant 2 activities have that kind of impact. Our effectiveness takes quantum leaps when we do them.
Now, before you turn off mute, because literally this slide might have been made for you, it was probably the reason it didn't work the last time, because the universe knew this slide was coming up, right? Because it's literally what you put in the
Apparently.
chat.
Right.
So tell me about quadrant 2. What is quadrant 2?
I believe those are the important but not urgent.
That's right. You nailed it, right? Because in the quadrants that Stephen Covey sets up for your time management, we've got urgent and important. We've got important and not urgent. We've got urgent, not important. And we've got not important and not urgent. And traditionally, when I teach on that, my joke is anybody that works for me that spends most of their time in not important and not urgent is somebody I probably need to fire. And from a realistic point, most of us are spending our lives in important and urgent because we're chasing a task that's been dropped on our plate as opposed to planning ahead, which is what Stephen Covey's encouraging here. Find out what's most important and plan ahead. That keeps us in quadrant 2. Thank you. All right. So that was 4, the 4 from the slide. Again, in the chat, come off mute, share. What action was the through line? What were they all doing that was really the through line that I discovered literally reading all these books? Go ahead, Kay.
Good afternoon. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Thank you.
My pleasure. Being consistent, having a plan and working the plan. That's what I see along with them all. I get an email at least maybe every other day. Stephen Covey's company with their planners, they have some awesome ones, but the whole theme is to just really be consistent and lay that plan out. So I have a lot of tall reading to do, seeing all these great folks on your slides. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's really the big thing, right? Consistency. Imagine that. And one step on top of consistency is how consistent do they encourage us to be?
Very.
Yeah, very. That's good to go with it. One other word. Go ahead, Evan.
Daily.
I would like to say that when you said how consistent should be, if there's any inconsistency, then it's inconsistent. It's not consistent if it's not consistently consistent.
We're beginning to wax philosophical, Evan. Thank you. All right. Yeah, I love it. And then Bailey said it with the daily, and we have it in the chat as well. So love it. Daily consistency. And that really translates out to days. And again, this takes it back to Russell Brunson. He literally said, learn your voice, express your voice, post daily. Oh, and so what I found We'll get back to that quote in a little in just a moment here. What I found literally while doing this, and we're going to get into a habit that I'm going to encourage you or do in a moment if you can't think of one for yourself. What I found, by the way, again, I mentioned in the beginning, I'm really, really bad on social media. And I'm still not great, but I'm now smart enough to at least see where my inconsistencies are or where I can improve. Because back then I thought I was good, and I couldn't understand why nobody was watching my 7-minute video on habits, and it was horrible. And the more I talked, the better I got, right? The more confident I became in my voice, the more consistent people were able to rely on those activities. And so we'll tell a little bit more about that in just a moment. But we do have one more quote to share here. Well, that's not true. There's a whole series of quotes, because we're gonna follow success, and every one of these people that I keep sharing with you has proven to be successful. Oops, I just shared the wrong screen, didn't I? It happens. Shara, take that out of the edit. Just kidding. All right, here we go again. So what on top of that, and another Stephen Covey quote for those that are keeping track here, what on top of that does Stephen Covey have to say about those daily and consistent habits? Someone read the quote for me. Can you all see it? Go ahead, Bailey.
What one thing could you do in your personal and professional life that, if you did on a regular basis, would make a tremendous positive impact in your life? Stevie Covey.
There we go. So this is the big question for today, for everybody here on this call, and anybody that you choose to share this life hack with. We'll put this up on YouTube. You can share it later. And what one thing could you do in your personal and professional life that, if you did it on a regular basis, would have a tremendous positive impact in your life? So grab a pen, grab a piece of paper. You know, if you ran around and picked up something that represented your goal for the year, perhaps it has something to do with that, something that you know could help you step forward to that goal, a simple action that helps you get towards that goal every single day. Maybe it is just becoming stronger with your own personal message and your own voice in order to get more confident. So Ashley put in the chat, develop a strong morning routine. I love that. Right? I'm going to share some other stories of what people did to change for them. Who here knows Sarah Blakely? All right. Well, Sarah Blakely was the founder of Spanx. And so the one thing that great, Kay knows. Perfect. Maybe Kay raised her hand to share. Kay, go ahead. Did you come on to share?
And you know this. One thing is, correct me if I'm wrong, but she started out in Maryland like us, and her company now has a $1 billion plus valuation, and she started her dream in '98, creating her wonderful product that we all know and love. I just want to jump over this desk. I love this lady right here. She's just so inspirational. As an entrepreneur, a very successful woman in business. And from memory, she did start here in Maryland 25 years ago, creating her product. I'll let you take it away. Sorry, I saw her got excited.
That's okay. I'm excited about this one too. I have 5 daughters. I don't know how many of y'all can see this. And so anytime that there is a business leader, I bought a book. I love board games too, by the way. I bought a board game for Christmas called Her Story. It's instead of his story, it's her story, and it's a bunch of impactful women through history that we can play with the kids together, which is cool and fun for me. If anybody likes the game Splendor, it kind of plays the same way. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I just geeked out for a moment, and it's all right. And we'll talk a little bit more about Sarah Blakely here in just a moment. But do you remember, or do you know where in Maryland, or well, we'll just say it. This is a stupid question. And in her own house, right? She built $1 billion business from her house. So it grew, and that's actually where her consistent habit came from. Is as it grew out of her home and they built offices, she realized that she started to lose some personal time in her business. And because the offices were so close to where she lived, she would just get in and get to the offices And it was such a quick commute for her that it didn't really feel like she had the personal time she needed to continue to grow her business. And so what she did was she factored into her routine extra drive time just so she would have time to really think and get creative in her car by herself. She'd put herself on Do Not Disturb and just spend time driving to get creative and build her business, which was really wild and awesome. So, all right, somebody jump off mute and read me about Les Brown.
There's one thing that every single successful person I have ever met has in common: a solid morning routine. So what is it that I do every single morning without failure at 7 a.m.? In fact, I read 30 pages every single day of the week.
Love it. And since Evan's name's the one on the slide, can you introduce yourself for everybody? Thank you.
My name is Hannah Derwart. I am the co-founder of Blue Jay Media.
Perfect. Love it. And so also here in Maryland. And so what I love about Les, so Les is probably the third or fourth book that I read inside of personal development in my life. And what I love about Les is Les, when he was a kid, his teachers like literally pulled his parents into a conference at school and told his parents, "I'm so sorry, but we're 100% sure that your child is mentally retarded." Wording that they used 40 years ago, right? 100% sure, maybe 50 years ago, he's mentally retarded. And he had such a amazingly tough time just even making it through school, just real struggle for him in his life. And then he started this habit. This became his daily routine. Even then, he said, "I'm going to get better. I'm going to prove to everybody that I'm not. And I'm going to start reading every single day." He began his 30-page-a-day habit. Now he's an author. Like, you go from somebody that nobody thinks would be ever be able to read in your life to becoming an author, a motivational speaker, trainer, and coach, right? So he's out there making big things happen, and super encouraging and exciting for me. Somebody I've looked up to for many, many, many years. Great. So I love it. All right. And then finally, this is a gentleman named John Kralik. So when I was working for a company called Vivint Smart Home, my boss recommended this book to me at the time. And he knew the author. I'd never heard of him before. But inside of this book, John tells a tale of how his whole life was falling apart. And as his life was falling apart, he remembered a little, or like he had lost his job, his business wasn't being successful. He started his own business and then started doing some things and it started to fall apart. He was divorced. He started dating somebody new and thought that was going in good directions, just to give you an idea here. And then his girlfriend, who he'd been with for a bit, just finally said, "Hey, I'm kind of done with this. You've got no direction. I love you, and you got to get your act together." But she gave him this thank you note that just basically said, "Thank you for the impact that you've made in my life. I've really appreciated everything that we've done together." And it reminded him, as he's walking out on New Year's Eve all alone because he's got nobody to celebrate with, it reminded him of a thank you card that he would send to his grandfather as a child. His grandfather had a message that he would send the kids some money, and if he got a thank you card, he would send them some more. And if he got another thank you card, he would send them some more. And John goes into the story here and just basically says, "Hey, I missed the point of Grandpa's message at the time. I thought it was a great way just to get some free cash, but every time I got the free cash, my mom would take it away from me and put it in the bank. So I stopped sending thank you cards. And I missed the point that my grandfather was trying to make, but I get it now because this thank you card that I just received was very touching." And so he made it his commitment to write a thank you card every day for the next 365 days to people in his life that had been a positive influence. And what do you think happened as John began to send those 365 thank you cards over the course of the year? I know some people have some ideas. Go ahead, Kay.
I haven't read this book. I don't know what happened, but whenever I've heard about people really having an attitude of gratitude, it really starts to pick them back at a minimum double. In a lot of cases, 3 all the way up to tenfold. Sometimes it can be in the way of business, but sometimes it can be even deeper than that in the way of relationships. And basically, it can even be life-saving for some people that normally don't receive a thank you or see or feel like they're being seen at all.
Yeah, some of his thank you notes were so super simple, and the more he sent, the better he felt. It was this super interesting piece that he didn't even anticipate. The more he said thank you, the more he gave gratitude to others, the better he felt. And as he realized that he was feeling better, his life began to get better. What you focus on expands, right? So as he expressed more and more gratitude, he started to see his life improve, and people started reaching out to him and just thanking him for the thank you notes, and saying it was such a breath of fresh air. It was so nice to receive. How's he doing, etc. Right? Like, and relationships started to improve. His attitude began to improve. It was really a huge game changer for him. All right, so some things that we've learned real quick here. We've learned that our life hacks are specific to us, right? Every one of these people did something a little bit different, and they all began to see amazing results from it. Not all of these things took a lot of time. Some of them, it was as simple as a morning commute. Some of them, it was as simple as talking onto a podcast in his morning commute, right? 5 minutes, 6-minute podcast every morning was what he was doing, just recording himself 5-6 minutes a day. I mentioned to you that so 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when I first did this, I decided to take the 365-day thank you challenge myself. And then the next year, I was like, all right, well, how can I make that a little bit different this year? Well, you know what? I'm really bad at video. I'll do 365 days of thank you cards on video. I'll say thank you on video and write the card and send it. And a few days in, that felt a little like that was about me and not about the person saying thank you. It didn't feel great. And so I stumbled across doing some dad jokes with my kids. And because I had a father-in-law that wasn't feeling well, we thought we'd send him some dad jokes and then post them. Why not, right? And so you know, here we are 2.5 years later. I'm still posting dad jokes, or I guess 2 years later, because it's the new year, right? 2 years later, I'm still posting dad jokes. And again, just much more confident on camera, much more sure of my own voice. And, you know, a little side effect, I've got about 40 to 50,000 followers, depending on which social media channels you choose to count on social media. So when I do share coaching content, when I do share these webinars with people, it's literally making impact and changing lives around the world. So to me, that's pretty wild and pretty cool. When I've got somebody from Germany that I interact with, and Denmark and Singapore, and obviously the Philippines on a regular basis, it's pretty cool to see what can happen when you just choose to be consistent at the activity that's specific to you. So we know from Atomic Habits that if you do something every single day, that you get incrementally better every single day. And with that, I want everybody here to identify that, the Stephen Covey question. What's the one thing that, if you do it in your personal, professional life every single day for the next 365 days, that it would have a tremendous positive impact? It doesn't need to be long. It doesn't need to be huge. It just needs to be something that you know that if you did it one time every single day, the next 365 days, it would make a difference in what it is that you're trying to achieve. Again, maybe the thing you ran around and grabbed in the scavenger hunt first thing. All right, now I'm going to give you a breakout here because, and this is also a little bit of a cheat, if you think that one thing might be too hard, you're like, I know I need to do this, Jeff, but just like your coaching videos, I'm not good enough yet, and I think I need to start with something else. The second question isn't not necessarily the thing you know you need to do, but what you're going to commit to doing. And maybe it's just sending those 365 thank you cards, right? So if that's what you're going to do in order to, you know, come at it from an attitude of gratitude, have a chance to find your voice and just be able to express gratitude to others and change your life, then that can be the thing. But we're going to run into breakout real quick. I just want everybody to go into the breakout room. The person who was the last person to give a present, I'm going to say that, last person to give a present, because we just came out of the holidays, that person gets to go first and just share what you are committing to doing for the next 365 days. When you come back, we'll have a couple of shares, and then I'm going to show you a way to get this onto your calendar to make sure you don't miss it. So just 5 minutes. It's going to be rooms of 3. Everybody share what you're going to do, what you're committing to doing. And then when you come back, we're going to show you some hacks on how you can make sure you're successful with it on your calendar. Show you that cool video that I promised you. All right, Shar, are we ready? Who had a 365-day activity that they heard that they were excited when they heard it from somebody else? It was like, oh, that's a good one. I love that. Something that just really jumped out at you and hit you in the heart or hit you in the head as being something really good for business. Ashley having personal chats. I see you, Ashley. I'm watching. Don't answer back. No, you wave. I don't know what you're doing. Come on, Kay. All right, Evan, go ahead.
So everybody in our breakout room kind of had similar things to say, but we all said something along the lines of stretching or doing some breath work every single day and reading every single day, but specifically reading the Bible as well.
Nice. Absolutely. Love that. It's a great way to start your morning. One of the big things I focus in on clients with as a business coach is finding a way to recharge yourself in such a way that the energy you give yourself in the morning lets you carry through the day. And that's either, it's accomplished a few ways and traditionally, just like you mentioned, right? Making sure that you're getting stretched and exercised and filled in mind, body, and spirit. Love it. So perfect. Good. Let's get one more. What else? Something else that somebody heard that really excited them. Go ahead, Kay.
One thing that really excited me, I was able to speak with Irene, and she spoke about a theme that would work for professional and personal. And I thought that was key because it was along the lines of communication. And I know professionally that's something that my own boss has told me that would be my next level up, that if I streamline and make that more effective, that would really just take me new places. And to hear that from Irene was just so timely. And I saw an article on LinkedIn this morning that spoke specifically to that people think that they have their communication on lock and they just have not even scratched a surface. So the fact that Irene said that she's going to be very intentional personally and professionally to be an effective communicator and a consistent one and to work towards that every single day, I think was huge.
That's awesome. I love how it's coming at you from all angles. You know what we call that, right? It's that reticular activating system. So, and for those that are not familiar with the reticular activating system, is when you tell your brain that something's important, your brain begins to notice it in its life, right? And so there's a chance that LinkedIn article was going to come across your path anyway, but if you weren't already looking for that particular topic, it could have just been something you swiped by. But because it's something that you've told your brain is important, you decided to click on it, open it up, and figure out how that went along with you more. Go ahead, Eb.
It's similar to when you learn a new word and then all of a sudden you hear that word everywhere.
Yeah. I love the example that everybody can relate to is getting a new car, used car, right? The moment you get it, you see it everywhere, right? You know, that blue Toyota Camry, that white Jeep Grand Cherokee, whatever it is, like the moment you get it, all of a sudden it's in every single parking lot. That's crazy to me because your brain just told you that that's important. When you get a new job, especially in a new industry, you pick up people talking about buying houses or needing a loan or wishing they were better at social media or whatever the case might be, right? So perfect, love it. New words. And here we go. This is what we call an implementation intention statement, okay? So what I want every one of you to do, you've picked your item. I want you to look at your calendar and determine where the thing that you decided to do is going to fit into your calendar and write this statement. There's been a study done that shows that people that write this statement down are 65% more likely to accomplish their goal if they write this down and track it. All right, we'll go back to this for a second because I want to make sure everybody has enough time. So if they write down the statement and track it, 65% more likely to accomplish your result. All right, so find the place on the calendar. Here's the second thing I want you to do, something I found out as a coach too. Write down your backup plan. So if something didn't work and you wrote it down, but something came up that day, when's the second time of the day you're going to do that thing? You don't get off the hook. Speaking of off the hook, though, I did create a new habit tracker challenge sheet. Throw it into the chat if you want a copy of it, and we can have Shara send it to you The reason this sheet's a little bit different is most of us know that it takes 66 days to form a habit, but what most of us don't realize is that we should allow ourselves a little bit of grace. Sometimes new habits are hard to form. So if you miss it even once a week, it might take 11 weeks to get to 66 days, right? If we're missing it once a week. So instead of resetting and starting all over, as Evan said, we're mostly consistent. We're consistently consistent at the beginning, right? As long as we're mostly more consistent than inconsistent, we're moving the way in creating a good habit and making a good change and positive change and impact in our life. So this gives you the ability to circle a space each week on a day that you might have missed. Again, have a original time, have a backup time, mark it off on the calendar in order to be successful. Sound good? 77-day habit challenge. It doesn't exist anywhere else because literally I made this. And here we go. 365 days. That's what we're shooting for. Y'all ready to watch the video? Evan, this guy kind of looks like you. So if this is you, I apologize for jumping in and stealing. No, it's not. So here we go. That is my favorite. The cows. Come on. Making something happen every single day. It gives me tingles. I've seen that video more times than I can count. Y'all, my kids know I teach this every January. They asked me last night if this was what I was teaching today, and they asked me what my 365-day habit was going to be this year. Setting intention is life-changing. You've got an opportunity to do it. You've got the tools to do it, okay? Our next one is on mastering your financials. Scan this, enter your information if you want to make sure that you're invited. Obviously, Shara will be reaching out and sending some invites too. But if you want to guarantee you're on this list, go ahead and scan it and put your information in. And Shara will be happy to include you. If setting up an appointment and you know that one of the things that'll make a big difference for you in your life is to hire a Cyberbacker or a virtual assistant with Cyberbacker to help you in your business growth and personal journey, then definitely scan this and set up an appointment with Shara as well. Who's excited for the year? Love it. I am too. I already told y'all what I was going to do this year. So if you don't see me start putting out some coaching content, you know, kick me in the butt a little bit. I started recording a bunch of the videos. I think they're better than they used to be. And stay tuned to Be More every day online and start looking for some motivational, inspirational content. Hopefully you can join me there. And feel free to chime in yourself on the things that you're accomplishing with your 365 days. I don't want to be a stranger on this journey. Definitely let me know how it's going. And thank you all so much. Have a great year.